What is happening, Post Shifters? Welcome back to another episode of the Post Shift Podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Shawn Soole. I'm running a little bit late this week, so I apologize. This is an episode of the Bread and Butter podcast that I did with Calen, McNeil, and Sam Jones. Sam Jones was out sick this day, so it's just Calen, McNeil. Please go and follow the Bread and Butter Collective. They do fantastic interviews with a lot of local Victorian business people and entrepreneurs. So please enjoy this episode, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Podcast. How are you, not Sam?
I'm very good, Cal. Thank you.
Shawn Soole is here. He's got a beard, so there's similarities there. He's our guest. Sam, unfortunately, is sick today, so he is off the clock, and Shawn will be sitting in as a guest / co-host of the Bread and Butter Podcast. How are you, Shawn?
I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself? And I've known you for years, and you're a very impactful influence in the hospitality industry.
Thank you.
So so happy to have you on. You've been on before.
No,
Yeah.
first time.
No, we did one.
Really?
Mind the Bar, like a long
that's
time
right.
ago. Yes.
We did.
Yeah.
Man,
That was
a
during
long time.
COVID.
It was during COVID.
Yeah.
That's right.
That was on, we did it through Zoom.
That's
on COVID.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Episode
Wow.
like 8 or something like that.
That's
Yeah.
mental.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like 6 years ago.
Yeah. It was
So
nuts.
long ago.
So talk about yourself. Where are you from? How did you show up here?
Originally Australian. I moved here 20 years ago next year. So I'm going on my 20-year anniversary here in Victoria.
And you moved directly from Australia to
Yeah.
here? Yeah.
I moved here for a girl.
Yeah, of course.
As most
Yeah.
Australians do.
Yeah.
That didn't pan out, but I fell in love with Victoria. And I was talking to someone the other day who said that I moved over here when I was 26, and I suppose I matured in Victoria.
Yeah.
Like I was still a kid partying and whatnot in Australia. Then I moved to Victoria and met my wife and settled down. She's Victorian born and bred, and stayed here. It's a beautiful city. It's close to everything, even though people think it's far away from everything.
Yeah. It's
I
very
can fly
easy
to
get.
Europe in 8 hours. Like it's close to everything. So I've been in the hospitality industry since I was 17, 18 years old. So going on 30 years there fairly shortly.
And you've done a bunch of projects in Victoria over the years. What
stay
stands
busy.
out to you?
Probably one that kicks around still is Cafe Mexico.
Yeah.
It's one of my one that's near and dear to my heart, like the design work and stuff. And that one really came out. I just sort of started consulting. I was working at Olo at the time, consulting at Olo, and they just had the fire. And I still take the screenshot and post it up on Instagram every now and then. Like I literally just reached out to them on Facebook. I was like, listen, if you're up for my services, I'd be happy to have a chat.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, let's come on in. And then that started like a 2-year relationship before we reopened.
Right. And then was that with Brad? And
That was still with Brad and Hilda, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's still near and dear to my heart. I help out Brad every now and then still now, this day. I was actually in there this morning doing stuff
And
with
what
him.
is he doing? Is he still?
He's still kicking around.
Wow.
Like he's 73 this year.
Oh, wow.
Fit as a fiddle.
Yeah.
Still kicking around, still like changing menus this morning and cleaning and doing prep. And
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. He's an awesome dude. And then I think the other thing that I'm probably most well known for is Clive's.
Clive's,
So,
that's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
So Clive's was 9 years over the 15-year span that Clive's has been around. So
Wow, that was a huge. Now, did you open Clive's, or was Clive's there before? Or I know you updated it.
yeah,
right?
Clive's
That's right.
renovated in 2008, and I took over in May 2009. And then I
Okay.
was there for 4 years, which is when the heyday of, well, not the heyday, but the start of the cocktail scene in Victoria. Solomon's was still open at the time. And then,
Oh, Solomon.
where
my
Jam
God.
is.
Yeah.
Like,
I forgot about that place. That was awesome. There was such a good cocktail culture.
Yeah. And then Veneto came on board.
Yeah,
and so
that's
it was
right.
like Clive's, Veneto,
Yeah.
Solomon's closed down. Sol moved over to Veneto. So it was like Veneto and Clive's for a really long time. 2013, I opened up Little Jumbo.
Yeah. That's right.
Then I left there, did Olo, Cafe Mexico. I think I worked out from 2013 to 2019 when I was in Singapore opening 3 venues. I'd opened up like 14 different venues as a consultant, like over that time. And so I did 3 venues in Singapore in 2019 in 6 months, which I suggest no one never do because that is mental.
Yeah. Was it from the same operator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, And when I arrived in May in 2019, like I walked in, I'm expecting like a half-done restaurant.
Yeah.
And it was dirt floors. It was a dirt floor. No.
Was there anybody doing the restaurant side, or were you consulting on the whole project?
I did the whole project.
Yeah.
So HR, training, menu development, design.
Wow.
And we did two restaurant and a bar there. And then we did something called Bayside, which is way over across from Marina Bay Sands, which is like a little California burger hut.
Yeah.
The hut was not much bigger than the room we're sitting in right now.
Yeah.
And we had to have a kitchen and taps and beer and everything.
Wow.
And then it had like 45 seats out in the open, out like al fresco style.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
And so then the pandemic obviously happened and got stuck here in Victoria, which is not a horrible thing.
So now, how did that project in Singapore, how did it come across your desk? Like someone called you up and...
Yeah, it came through a friend of a friend. So a good friend of mine who used to be here in Victoria back in my Moxie's days.
Yeah.
He was a big reason why we had such a massive wine list at Moxie's, because he'd bring in 20 people on a Friday and would drink 2 cases of wine between them.
Yeah, nice.
And he moved to Singapore. He was in the pharmaceutical business. And he reached out to me. He's like, hey, we're thinking about doing this new place. Would you be interested? And I was in Portugal at the time at the Lisbon Bar Show. And I'm like, yeah, let's do a Zoom. And I got on a Zoom and they're like, yeah, could you be here in 2 weeks? And I'm like, I'll get a contract and a proposal together and all that sort of stuff. I'll send it over. I flew back from Lisbon early, spent the weekend, and flew out to Singapore for 3 months.
Wow.
So, yeah. And then I came home for like 4 weeks for my family and spent 2 weeks away during that 4 weeks in Toronto and Montreal working. And then flew back away for another 3 months.
Wow.
So my wife is very understanding. So is my daughter.
Well, and I guess that's part when you're doing the consulting, you kind of got to go where the work is
100%.
to a degree.
Yep.
Now, when you go to Singapore and you see what's going on in the scene over there, like how are we, especially, when you think about the year, like around 2009, the cocktail scene, you're on the, cutting edge in Victoria, I would say. You're also, moving the needle. For it, like how did we compare back then with what the cocktail scene was globally, or even in North America or whatever regional context there is? Like, were we ahead of it, behind it?
In 2009?
Yeah.
Oh, we were way behind.
Way behind.
But Canada was way behind.
Yeah.
Like I reached out to a few friends and I was like, what cocktail bars nationally in Canada were like the first cocktail bars in your city? And it was like Harbour Room in Toronto was like 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
Clive's was 2009. There was like George. Was it George? Yeah, George on in Vancouver, which is around 2006.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah.
So like there wasn't a huge amount of cocktail bars there. Like I came from Australia, which we have a very vibrant cocktail scene since like 2000. So like coming to Canada, I was like,
so it was about 8 or 9 or a decade behind, kind of.
Yeah, we've caught up now for sure.
Yeah.
Like we've definitely the whole country's caught up. I still think we're a couple of years behind here and there, but with the internet and social media and everything, it sort of speeds up way quicker.
Yeah.
Like 2009, there still was no real social media. I remember adopting Twitter and Instagram when that became popular. When then you
start seeing, kind of real time stuff that you may not have been exposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it's expanded really quick, and I think Victoria personally. I'm a Victoria boy, so a lot of people are going to go, well, it's just because you're from Victoria. But I think Victoria's got one of the best cocktail scenes in the country now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would think there's a bunch of people would have come through your circles as well, right?
Yeah.
So you would have had a big influence on that.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough that a lot of a lot of the kids that are now owning and running restaurants now were like bar backs for me in 2015.
Yeah.
Like
a ton of them that are still doing it.
So they're going through and they're expanding our culture and doing new things, and I'm trying to keep up as always, but also doing so much more business side of things. It's like, okay, well, do I have time to talk about the minerality of certain waters that get sparkled and all this sort of stuff? I'm like,
well, and the chemistry of it all too, right? Because that, as much as, I know you're doing a lot of podcasts, you've got the Post Shift podcast. And primarily, is it primarily bar stuff that you do there, or I guess hospitality in general?
On the podcast, it's weird because I've had people on there like, oh, I don't talk about cocktails. I'm like, neither do I. I don't really do the cocktail side of things. It's more about mental health or owner operations or work-life balance, like more top tier stuff. So like my biggest demo was like 30 to 28 to 35, 28 to 45 range. So the people that are getting into management or getting into ownership, sort of those sort of people, like I don't go geek out about rum or
Yeah.
geek out about tequila. Like there's plenty of podcasts out for that. It's
Yeah.
more
You're a generalist.
generalist. So like next month I've got like an event coordinator, a magazine publisher, a entrepreneur out of New York who has her own like cocktail, like canned cocktail stuff. And so like it goes through a lot of entrepreneurship stuff more than anything else.
Which I think is, I mean, that's kind of what our podcast does too, is, generalist stuff, which I think, I know when I was coming up in the industry, pretty green, I came from a totally different industry, and then kind of applying, that type of business philosophy into a restaurant scene, just good business fundamentals, I think is key. But without the hospitality component of it, it's, there's a lot of stuff to know and a lot of best practices to follow. And I think the systemization of stuff, there's a lot of cowboy operations, which I think has a certain appeal and gives a certain freedom. But if you're trying to produce something that's going to be around for, 26 years, it's tough to do it that way, without the fundamentals.
It's one of those things I talk to people about systems and like, oh, systems are too corporate. I like
being fluid.
Yeah, and like that's great, but like a baseline system will give you more fluidity in your business. Like it'll make the chef be more creative because he's not worrying about his food cost.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to put in a food inventory system, but then chef doesn't have to stress about things.
Yeah.
Like they can just be creative. They can just put out food, good quality food without stressing, what's my food cost this week? What's my labor cost this week? So I've been preaching the whole systems thing a lot, and I've got a little bit of pushback going, we just sort of, and I'm just like, well, yeah, but a good spreadsheet is something not to be sneezed at.
And what it does, it gives you that sort of foundation to lean back on. It also adds value. So if you're looking to sell your business or any of those types of things, having that stuff done, then people can actually believe the numbers.
Yeah.
And they know that those systems are in place, which means that you're a good operator. So they'll believe what you're saying. And, when you say your business is doing 1.8 million and your net is this, if you have no systems, then they're like, oh, okay. Like now they have to really do this kind of guerrilla, accounting forensic kind of deal.
The easiest one is like, how do you pay yourself? I just take money from the profits. I'm like, okay, so that black figure at the bottom of your P&L right now that I'm looking at to buy your business is actually in the red.
Yeah.
Because you only made X amount of dollars, and that is your salary as the general manager and ops manager, and that's you're in the red now. Well, but no, I'm like, well, then you haven't costed everything out to the top line revenue to cover your wages. Like you shouldn't buy yourself a job.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Or you can, but just
make sure you're covered.
Make sure you're covered. And then also that is about your plan. So if you're doing that and you don't understand what your costs are or how you're getting paid or what your true bottom line is, then what are you selling? Like how are you, like you can build a business that is basically just covering your salary, which is fine, but then have it laid out the correct way so that somebody can say, okay, well, I need to increase this or that in order to get a proper margin.
Yeah. Because
I'm not going to be working the business. I'm going to be running the business. And have the business work for me versus the other way. But you can have it. You can have a business that is just paying yourself.
Yep.
And but just understand where all the numbers are.
Yeah. Oh, and then what's your exit strategy?
Yeah. And that's the thing is like anytime you open a business, you should know what your exit strategy is before you open it.
Yeah.
Or have an idea what your plan is, because then all these little pieces and the systems is what you sell. That's all a part of the value of what you're selling at some point. And you may never sell.
Yep.
Or you may shift what your exit is,
and I feel like exit strategy is always like a dirty term, especially when you're starting a business. Like, I'm passionate, man. I'm going to be doing this for the next 40 years of my life. I'm like, do you want to though?
Yeah.
Like, do you
know how hard this job is? Like, you're going to do this when you're 70?
Yeah, you're super passionate. It's great. But and I'm like, I talk to a lot of owners who start getting on all. I'm like, what's your exit strategy? I'm like, well, I'll sell. I'm like, okay, well, let's have a look at your P&Ls and your income statements.
Yeah.
Are they healthy?
Yeah.
Are you doing stuff to make your business worth a dollar figure?
Yeah.
Or are you just going to sell it for cents in the dollar and walk away with a very menial retirement plan?
Yeah. And that's the thing about it is like, if you have an expectation that your business is worth X, like make sure that is worth X, or that you understand what makes your business worth X. Because if you're just like, I'm going to sell this for $1 million, and then all of your systems aren't there, your P&L doesn't support it, you're working for your wages basically, you're not going to, you're going to be able to justify that price, right? And then your expectations are not meeting, your goals aren't meeting, there's a misalignment, right? Which I think happens in our industry,
than
like
people think.
90% of the time. But it's like a marriage too. Like people think, having a discussion with your partner, your future partner, before you get married about what happens if this doesn't work, or what are you thinking? Like those are hard conversations, but once you do it and have the conversation, just like the details of your plan, you put it in a drawer and you forget about it.
Yeah.
And then at some point, if it goes sideways, but at least you've discussed it. There's no surprises, and you can pull it out again.
Yep.
And just like a business plan, it's the same idea.
Yep.
Here's your plan. Here's your goals. Here's what we agree, and here's what our exit strategy is.
Yep.
And then you just put it away, and then you check on it once a year, or probably once a year is enough. Just make sure you're in line. But if you have the systems in place, then you're going to know that most likely you're going to achieve your goals, and you're going to end up in that.
Every
spot.
other industry does it. If you're in tech, you're
Yeah.
like, okay, in 5 years' time, I'm selling.
Yeah.
I'm going to build it.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
And I'll do something else.
Yeah.
But in the restaurant industry, it's like, no, passion before business. And it's like, okay, well, that's great. But
Well, it's okay if you understand that you are probably not going to be selling it for the highest value.
Yeah.
And you've bought yourself a job, which I think is good. Like all those things are admirable reasons to do it. But just make sure that you understand that you're not building a business to sell it, and you're not going to have a retirement most likely, or it's going to be diminished because you didn't do these steps. Right. So I think for me, I'm the type of person that just keeps all of the options in the air. So even with our Big Wheel Burger, do we want a franchise? Maybe. Do we want to sell at some point? Probably. Do we, but in the meantime, I'm just going to try to run as good a business as possible, but always with the idea that I've got all of the options open, like an octopus.
Yeah.
I've got, however many tentacles that I could do this, or I could do this, or I could do this. Doesn't mean you're not focused, because I think you could lose focus if you're too scattered, but, I think just keeping all of the options open and having your plan sort of speak to the different types of things, right? Because as we go through, like especially, and you could probably speak to this too, when you've been doing this for however many years we've been doing it, and you're just seeing how different trends come and go and the future, and just thinking about where we are politically. We talk about, there's a potential disaster economy coming down the road. Like who knows? Like we're kind of in uncharted territories, and I don't know about you, but I don't know if I can go through another sort of pivot we're constantly pivoting anyways. So I think you're ready for what comes at you. But
yeah, but when it comes to that, like I feel like recently with the BCGEU strike, that sort of thing, I've got nothing against union striking for better pay, that sort of thing. But some of the vernacular coming out of advocacy groups is like, oh, well, our industry is dynamic. I'm like, but why are we the ones that need to be dynamic? Why are the we the one that need to pivot and dynamic? Like, you're not asking the forestry industry to be dynamic and pivot. You're not asking the car manufacturing companies to be.
Well, those industries, none of those industries would be able to adapt. And when you don't have certainty, and our industry has the least amount of certainty, and we get attacked the most. We're the most approached for donating. Yep. Everybody's like, oh, hey, you can just do this or sponsor this or do this or, why don't we do this? And it's fine. Like, obviously I love giving back and I want to be that, but we're the first call. Yeah. And, we're also the first impacted. We were talking before the show started about the LMIA and foreign worker program, where people just are clued out on what the labor market and labor force is. And for us as an industry, like, I don't know, I want to say probably 30 or 40% of our staff are new Canadians in some capacity. There is nobody to take those jobs. Like, they just don't exist. And there's a gap, and it's a demographic gap, in my opinion. So this isn't a surprise. I think if you read Boom Bust Echo, that book in late 90s or whatever, mid 90s, you would know that this was coming. There's a labor gap in there, and it will correct itself at some point. But this isn't like, in my opinion, it isn't like the government's probably made mistakes, as they always do. But I think the bigger mistake we'd make is overshooting on the other side, where we're all of a sudden just stopping all of it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, without understanding who's going to actually physically do the jobs in certain industries. And I think you're not protecting industries like the food security issue, huge issue, which will get even worse with what's going on in the States, because we get, you know,
So much.
disproportionate amount of our food from the States, or through the States at least. You know, we're going to be in big trouble, and we're not secure ourselves. So if we don't have foreign workers, how are we going to increase our capacity to grow?
Yeah.
Which is essential. We used to provide, I think, 40% of the food that we ate on the island was produced on the island. I think 50 years ago.
Yep.
Now I think it's 10%.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'd like to see the government leaning into that, protecting that, which is part of the foreign worker component. Food growing, you know, supporting farms. You know, I had this thought a couple weeks ago about getting government tax breaks for buying farm grown food. And why can't you make it a tax deduction for people to go to your local farm
And not buy from there.
and, you know, and get a tax break on it?
See, in Australia, when you're a foreign worker, like if you're traveling, you have to do a certain amount of time in like farm.
Yes.
You have to go pick fruit or like for like 6 months or 3 months or something like that to be able to stay for 2 years, or 2.5 years. And if you want to go extend that, you got to go back to the farm and do some more farm work. I think when it comes to the government, they just fundamentally don't understand our industry. And we have great advocacy groups for it, but like the government doesn't look at our industry the same way they look at forestry and oil and that sort of thing, because it's all full-time workers. Whereas our industry is so made up of like university kids who work part-time. They don't count the dishwasher who works 1 or 2 shifts a week for you. They don't count the server who only picks up 3-5 hour shifts a week, that sort of thing. They don't count those as actual workers in our industry, even though they're intrinsic to us being successful.
Yeah, exactly.
But they don't count that. They're like, well, you guys are all like people who don't work that much. And I'm like, yeah, but there's still people that's a portion of our labor.
Yeah.
And so when they don't understand that, it's really tough for them to go, okay, well, why do we need LMIAs?
Yeah.
And when you talk to Camosun, they're like, yeah, the chefs, like the chefs they're going through Camosun right now, the class is getting smaller and smaller every year. And post-pandemic, it's bad because I feel like post-pandemic, a lot of people like a little bit younger than me, they're like late 20s to mid 30s, they left the industry because it was tough. They were like, well, screw this.
Can't get a mortgage.
Yeah, screw this. I'm out. I'm going to become a real estate broker or a coder or something. So now it's older guys like us, older people like us, and then a huge gap to like the young bartenders that are coming through the ranks that are less than 30 years old, and they're now becoming managers. And so there's a big gap of like knowledge being passed down in the kitchen and in the front of the house because there's that gap.
Yeah.
And people our age are into ownership and management and stuff like that, and there's no middle area.
There's no middle
to like funnel that information down to the youth, and they're now coming up and going, okay, well, I'm gonna have to learn this from scratch.
Yeah.
And then of course that mistakes start happening. It's literally like resetting the whole ecosystem 25 years ago.
Well, and those mistakes are costly because it's hard enough to make money in the industry without mistakes.
Yep.
So if you've got your seasoned owners, like I mean, I'm a seasoned owner, and you know, you've got a young management team at a restaurant, then you're like, okay, you guys go do your thing. And they're, I want to do this and this. And I'm like, okay, well, we did that 20 years ago and it didn't work, and it didn't work for this reason or that reason. Yeah. Well, I'm really passionate. I'm like, okay, you also want to support your team.
Yeah.
Try it. So you're kind of like just in this constant thing of like trying to explain to people, like it's such a small margin industry. Like you just can't afford to make those mistakes.
It's also like, I want to do this and this. I'm like, okay, well, can you back that up with how much it's going to cost?
Yeah.
What is the ROI on that? And it's great. Like you do want your staff to like push forward and try new things, but it's also like recently I had a client and they're like, oh, we really want to put X, like I'm not trying not to be specific.
Yeah.
The staff really love having X on tap.
Yeah.
That's great. But if you want to hit your cost for draft, you're going to have to put that at like $16 for a 16-ounce pour.
Yeah.
And that's not cheap. And they're like, oh, well, probably staff don't know that. I'm like, well, like you can love something.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't make the sense ROI, then you can be very passionate. You got to give me something. You got to come with a solution. Don't tell me a problem without a solution.
Yeah.
Come with me for the solution. I'm good to go.
Well, and I think the important piece there is understanding that you may like this product, but then how does it sell? What do you have to sell it for? And then who's your customer? Because sometimes there's a huge disconnect between who your actual customer is and who your staff thinks the customer is. Because you could have a young, hip staff with, but if your customer is sort of, the person that likes, this, like a Philips Blue Buck or whatever, and they want, it's like, I call it the Walmart crowd, which is the majority of people will shop at Walmart, and it's a great spot for them to do that. But if you're a person who doesn't need to shop at Walmart to save money, or you want to support local or whatever, then you're going to be buying that expensive $16 16-ounce pour. But your Walmart crowd that is actually paying the bills, right, won't. And then so now you're having this product that's taking up this unit, in a limited draft list, maybe. Yeah. Like if you have an unlimited draft list, then sure you can have all this special.
Yeah. But yeah, like I always ask for sales mixes when I start a consulting gig because I want to see reports.
Yeah.
People lie, numbers don't.
Yeah.
And you'll always have the chef go, "Oh, we sell tons of these." I'm like, "Do you?" Or bartender saying, "This cocktail is really popular." I'm like, "Is the cocktail popular when you're working the bar to the people at the bar that you're talking to?"
Yeah.
What about the other 65 seats?
Yeah.
Right. And we are in a niche, like whether it be Big Wheel as a niche QSR or Clive's as a niche cocktail bar. Whenever any of my team or any of the staff get sort of on their high horse about what we do, that's great. Go sit at Vessel or Strath or Liquor Planet and just go watch and see what people buy.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll quickly realize all the work I've done for 20 years for the cocktail scene in Victoria is still just a slither of a slither. Yes. And people are still buying Mickey's of vodka and Lucky Lager. Like, it's just a slither of a slither of a massive ecosystem. And the biggest part of the ecosystem is that, as you said, the Walmart crowd. Yeah. Like the people who love their beer.
Yeah, know what they like, and they're going to drink it for 80 years.
Bob comes in every Thursday with Blue Buck and a fish and chips. Yeah. If you changed up the Blue Buck and you changed up the fish and chips, Bob wouldn't come anymore.
Yeah.
But Bob comes every Thursday. Every Thursday, Bob comes.
Yeah, and you want Bob coming every Thursday. Like, you need that for your business. Yep. And when you're catering your business for that kind of 10%, and we have that battle at Zambri's because of, we want, we're a chef-owned operation, so Peter wants his creativity and all of that stuff, and he wants to inspire his team, and so they're wanting to do all this stuff, but all these changes and all this unique, cool things. I'm like, that's great.
It's got to balance it,
but you got to balance it because 90% of what we sell is not that.
Yeah.
And are we growing that segment? Probably not.
No.
Like if I look at the numbers, we're literally all that nuance and specials is really 10%, and it has been 10% for 25 years. So great. I think we need to have that on there. But, if you try to take off our steak dish and try to change it, it's like, okay, the steak dish has been on for 20 years. It's number one seller.
Yeah.
It's the number one contributor too. So now you're going to mess with it. And we did one time. We messed with it. And I'm like, okay, look at these numbers. You know what I mean? Like, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
Or they want to take our pork shoulder off. And I'm like, okay, our pork shoulder truly is our number one contributor because it's $5 a plate.
Yeah.
And you can sell it for 32 or whatever. And, when you sell so many of them that it's like, now you're going to change it. Like, why mess with it? And and that's the other thing with those systems is if you don't connect that information to the person who's in the kitchen or in it, then you're catering to their whims with what they think. And they may like making the dish this way, but they're only selling 3 and the other dish sold 15.
Yeah.
So
systems breed accountability.
Yeah.
And luckily enough, like I'm kind of flattered now that you can get a Negroni everywhere, like literally everywhere. Like we had them on tap at Clive's every year over year. It was the number one selling cocktail.
Yeah.
Year over year is a Negroni on tap. And so I'm kind of like, I'm going to take that view for the city. Like where you can go to like Garrick's Head and get a Negroni.
Yeah.
Like a pod and get a Negroni. I'm like, okay. I was a staff party and we went to Darcy's late night after the staff party. And I was like, oh, there's a Negroni on the menu. I'll have a Negroni. And the bartender knew me and is busy as hell. And I take the first step and you could see him like looking over. Going, is it good? And I gave him the thumbs up. And he's like, yeah, okay. I'm like,
well, when you think about bringing stuff to like even for Zambri's, we were one of the first people to do Prosecco and then also polenta. So when in 1999 when we opened, that was like, well, what is this?
Yeah.
And then now you get it everywhere, and you kind of think, okay, good. We are kind of instrumental in leading the charge here, even though it was, it's been around everywhere. Well, you talk about how far behind you are, right? And it's the same thing with burgers. Like when we opened Big Wheel Burger, the first couple of years we were struggling because people just didn't get what we were doing. But quick service, better fast food had been around for 7 or 8 years in the States. And there's all these massive chains that were doing it and displacing, the McDonald's and all this kind of stuff. But it took 2 or 3 years for local Victoria people to kind of get, oh, this is what they're doing. It's not gourmet burgers. It's not, this is quick service fast food, better.
And the crazy thing is now, I remember when you guys first opened, everyone was like, well, McDonald's is cheaper. McDonald's isn't cheaper anymore.
No, it's not cheaper.
It's not cheaper anymore.
Well, the thing about it is, like, I always go back to it because we actually, like, and again, when you look at data and metrics, I was like, okay, well, how is it really cheaper? Like per ounce? Like you just do it based on meat.
Yeah.
So how much meat are you getting? How many calories are you getting actually? And where's the calories coming from? Is it nutritious? Is it whole? Is it, or is it like, I don't know what's in a McDonald's burger, but there's some meat in there, but there's probably some other stuff too, I guess. I don't know, but it's literally like super thin.
Yeah.
And you're getting, I don't know, like 2 ounces of beef versus you're getting 5 ounces of beef in ours. And then you're like, okay, so how much are you paying per ounce of beef? And when we did the math on it, McDonald's was the only one cheaper than us.
Yeah.
Every other fast food, A&W, like Dairy Queen, all of them were more expensive per ounce of product. So, and then, well, how you eat this food, and then how hungry are you 2 hours from now? So you got to eat more food. Yeah. So let's add those costs on there as well. And then when it just comes from, the purity of supporting a local business too. So, because there's so many dynamics to making a successful business. And, when you talk about the industry and who's advocating for us, and you have these big conglomerate businesses, whether they're mostly in restaurants, but all have bars attached to it too. And they're buying like enormous amount
pallets
of
and
products.
Pallets, yeah.
So they have a lot of, their voice is strong and they can advocate, but they advocate for themselves. They're not advocating for a strong industry. And then when you mix these, what makes a community is the mom and pa, the local people that understand the local market, understand that, in Cook Street Village, they really need this little cute little wine bar or this coffee shop or what have you, and it'll actually work there. And then they're supporting local. The money is staying local. It's not, when you go to, and I don't like slamming any business, but when you go to McDonald's or something, let's do Starbucks. Yep. You go to a Starbucks, that money, sure, it's paying, the employees that work there. And that money's staying in the economy, but every single other dollar comes out of the economy, right? Out of our local economy. Yep. And, when you can make a choice to buy from Sam for 2%, and that money 100% is staying here, still supporting employees here. And I would advocate, better supported employees because, he cares about living wages and he cares about benefits and then what their work-life balance is. And they're not just going to your shareholders and going, I can't get you that return. So, okay, well, we're going to shut down. And you look at all the ones that have shut down now.
I was about to bring that up. Like,
it's insane.
When you see big companies like that starting to close stores, you're like, well, let's really talk about the health of the industry as a whole. Yeah. Like, and supporting local is more important now than ever because, like, they've shut down like 4 stores in this last like 6 months. Yeah.
And I would say that's probably 100 and 150 employees probably just in those, like we have 5 stores and we have 100 employees. So,
and again, that's the staff that only work 2 days a week or like pick up a 4-hour shift on a Saturday because they got to go to school, like they'll study Saturday night. Like, and that's those things that don't get factored in when we talk about the industry as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you've got the spaces empty and, like I think that opens the opportunity for local small operators to come in too, which I think is good. And when I see, because the one in Cook Street Village right across from us went down,
which was popular too.
I know, but the funny thing is, like when the whole tariff thing came in, the elbows up, I think, and maybe it's just my optics on it because I'm paying attention or trying to pay attention. They're dead. Like whereas before, like definitely during COVID, they're busy. Before COVID, they're packed. Like if I looked at Mocha House across the street to Starbucks, they'd both be packed, but Starbucks would be swarmed. Like it'd be hard to get a seat there.
Yeah.
Right. And now when I went, I probably was there a year ago, and it was dead. And then I sometimes have meetings in the Starbucks by our Gateway spot. And I, for one, like I'm not really supporting American companies when I can choose a Canadian company now, which I think all of us should be doing. We should have always done it, like, in my mind. Like it's very convenient to have the convenience of it, and it's the same thing with Amazon. Like, sure, it's great to have that, but when you see what it does to retail shops and all that stuff, and small local mom and pops, I think of Boland Books and all these really good operators, it's hard to make it. And then what are they doing with their money? Yeah. Like where is that money going versus where it can go if you put it in your own community. So, but yeah, then I look at the Starbucks, I'm like, well, maybe we move our big wheel over there. What I mean? It's a bigger space. It's like, maybe that's an opportunity again. Right. But it's so funny when you're trying to look at the health of your industry and then try to navigate the waters of what the right thing to do, and then what you support or don't support, but also seeing, again, the data. Like, I'd be interested to see a year or two from now, the impact of this elbows up, and then, what U.S. brands dropped versus which Canadian brands elevated. Yeah. And just to see how it actually translates, because, there's always, in the restaurant industry, there's always people taking a new spot. Yeah. So I don't think people understand the shift that's happened in the last 5 years. The number of restaurants, especially independent ones, that have just gone, and what's replaced them. And you think, oh, well, that replaced them or that replaced them. And I think in aggregate, you'd be like, okay, well, we're actually down. Yeah. And I don't think it's benefited us. And the industry is probably in way more trouble than we think. And I was predicting this before, during COVID, about the impact of COVID and what it would mean. But the ones that survive should hopefully pick up the slack. But
yeah. I think post-pandemic, the hardest thing was like, you could see it happening. Like I talk about a lot of like culture and staff retention and stuff like that. And I really hoped, I think we talked about it, I really hoped that post-pandemic that the turn and burn operators were going to learn their lesson. But I still see it in the industry, this lack of like training, this lack of onboarding, this lack of like culture. Yeah. And it's just like, I did a seminar a couple of weeks ago at Portland Cocktail Week just about turn and burn and how to like do staff retention training, how much does training actually cost? Yeah. Which, when you actually, like, from a bar point of view, like cocktail bar, it's insane how cheap training is.
Yeah, for that role.
For that role. So like, I did a math on it. So if you do in the first year of like, this is something we did at Clive. So this is a trial and true. This has worked for us. Like, we had 11% turnover over 4 years, not per year. That's over unreal. 4 years.
That's crazy.
And so we've got staff there that are still there that I hired 5 years ago. That sort of thing. So we did Bar Smarts online, which is a nice benchmark bartending course. Edinburgh Whiskey Academy certifications in gin, Irish whiskey, and Scotch.
Oh, so cool.
And then WSET 1 in spirits. Yeah. So all those cost about $900 per staff member for the year. So if you're open 300 shifts a year and you have 10 staff, which is roughly what we had at Clive's, it's $30 a shift. Not $30 a shift per person, just $30 a shift. And having that knowledge base for the staff, you're making 10 times that extra.
Yeah, what's the ROI? It's huge.
Extra. Yeah. And so I talked to like the best, like, I won't put them in abbreviated cons, like the best bars in Canada. I'm talking about their training programs, and they're like, yeah, we don't spend X amount. I'm like, 1 to 2% of your top line revenue should be based on training. Yeah. And it should be you should have a plan, but also like an open dip in. So like your chef, so the Clive chef, he has his certifications in gin, Irish whiskey, Scotch. Yeah. He's WSET 1. So he understands cocktails, he understands spirits, and he's in the back house. And so the conversations we used to have, the knowledge he brought to the table, all that sort of stuff, I'm like, you can give that to all your staff. And like, if you're paying 1% to 2%, but if chef wants to do, I want to up my red seal, or I want to do pastry or something like that, no problems at all. Dip into that fund. As long as we spend it all by the end of the year, we're good to go.
Yeah. And then you've got the training in place.
Yeah.
You know?
And I always said that I want to train my team up so well that they're too expensive to hire anywhere else.
Yeah.
So after their second year, they get WSET 2.
Yeah.
And then after their second year there, we do specializations like tequila specialization or bourbon specialization. So I'm like, I want you to, if you ever leave me, or I'm gone now, but like if you ever leave this place, you should be asking for $5 more per hour.
Yeah, because of
because of your
Yeah.
training. Like you're not just a server, you're not just a bartender, you are more.
You're certified.
You're more.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of crazy how it's training still viewed. Oh, I keep my staff. I'm like, but are your staff maximizing that? And it goes back to that accountability and the numbers. Like, how many covers do you do? What's your per head spend? What's your per head spend? Can you get $2 to $3 per head more?
Yeah.
With this training, calculate that over a whole year.
Yeah.
You're making that money back tenfold, and your bottom line's even healthier. Like it's simple math to me.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. It doesn't get adapted as much.
It's so like people don't like change for one. And if you aren't used to having systems, adopting systems sometimes is a challenge. But I think that money is so well spent. And, but it's also about setting up a system that goes, multi-year. So you're not just saying, oh, I'm going to go do this one time for these 2 or 3 employees. But just building it out and putting the pot, budgeting it, and saying, here's what our training budget is.
I talk about it in the interview.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, you are happy with further education? Because some people just aren't. If you're not,
maybe it's not for you.
Maybe it's not for you.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we do.
Yeah.
But I think that 20 years ago, if you were a fine dining restaurant, you would have to be doing all the wine training.
100%.
And like you need to know your knowledge of the region. Like, take Zambries. You need to know the regions of Italy really well. It can't just come down to the salmon. It has to come down to the service. And so I feel like it's professionalism, but we're not investing in the staff. And when you invest in the staff, you'd be just shocked at how much ownership they take and how much they want to go forward with it. And so,
well, you open up opportunities that they may not even realize for themselves.
100%.
Like once they get exposed to that education piece or listening or learning something new, and then now they get excited about it, and they're bringing stuff to you. It's like, hey, I'd like to try this wine dinner or this. I mean, we had an olive oil sommelier on, and I was
awesome.
Like, what the hell, man?
Awesome.
This is so
That's
cool.
cool.
And I didn't even know about it. So now we'll do an olive oil dinner at Zambries, right? So it's just like expanding the horizon. And I didn't even know you could be an olive oil sommelier.
I have a friend who's an olive oil sommelier in Spain.
It's crazy. And there's only, I think that she said there was only like 4 in North America or something. Like it's very niche, very small. But it speaks to the fact that she went out and got training.
Yeah.
Right? So not only are you doing it for your business, but you actually can do it for yourself, and you've got that marketable thing now. Like if you're want to change, or if you want to move to a different city or whatever, you're bringing this education background, and then it really brings professionalism into what we're doing. And it's like make America great again. Make hospitality great again. Where people can actually have pride in what they're doing, because so many people, this is obviously a stepping stone industry. I think it's fair to say it is and has been, but there's a really core base of people that are been here for years.
Yeah.
And they're the backbone of the industry, and they're professionals and they take it seriously. But if we aren't, showing the next generations that is a career path, and you can, there's nothing more satisfying than serving a good drink and watching the customer drink it, or serving a good plate of food, and all the conversations that come from all of that. Like it's really an important aspect of what our life is, but we diminish the positions to service, and they're just there to serve us, or it's not that professional thing. Like when you get served by a professional server or a professional bartender, you're like, it's an experience. Just like if you go to a doctor and the doctor's got horrible bedside, versus a doctor that's got great bedside. You're like, wow, I feel so. This guy, they're both making the same amount of money.
Yep.
But this guy's a dick.
Yeah.
And this guy's super hospitable, and you just feel it's just a totally different experience. And when you can, create that person that does that and understands the importance of it, you're actually really shaping the future of the industry, which I think more and more people should be viewing what they're doing that way.
I think as an older industry person, we need to also lead by example. Like I try and get at least 1 or 2 certifications myself every single year.
Yeah.
So I try and lead by example, and I try and evolve every time I have new staff or something. Like I always say that my way is the right way right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
great.
But if you come to me with a completely different way that I go, oh, that's kind of cool, I'm going to fold that into the way I do things, and I evolve to do that. So stuff that I was doing, like I'm an ex-military kid, so like when I got into the industry, like my old man was, do it now.
Yeah.
So I've evolved like my reaction to people screwing up. Like working the floor, going, hey, how you doing? Instead of get to table 4, they just sat, they've been watered, they got bread, get there now. And they're like, oh, okay, I just came on. Thank you so much. So like I've tried to evolve my style of leadership and my style of like education just to lead by example. Because then, and usually that education gets paid for out of my own pocket. So it's like, well, I'm one of only 3 BNIC certified cognac educators in the country.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so that took me 5 years to like apply for.
Yeah.
Like every year got knocked back. And the 5th time they were like, yeah, okay, well, we're going to give you a go.
You're okay now.
Yeah, you're okay now, because they look at the market that they need. And so there's 250 applicants every year.
Wow.
8 to 10 get picked.
Wow.
6 to 7 pass.
Yeah.
So part of your cohort won't make it.
Yeah.
And it's only a 5-day course, but you're like 8 a.m. start till midnight.
Yeah. And there's a lot of content.
So much content. Yeah. And sometimes it's in French.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to like listen to in different languages and get translations and everything. And we had someone that didn't make it on our cohort. And it's a really uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
But like that was something I did a couple of years ago. I did like my bourbon certification last year. And so I always want to be the factotum for knowledge in my venue.
Well, you talk about the leadership piece. That is so important to lead by example. But you're also exposing them to what the possibilities are. And when you're out there looking at different options and courses and programs, then you really are at the cutting edge. So when a young person comes up, hey, I want to be like you, or I want to learn what you know. Well, here you go. Here's the steps. Do this first, this, and this. And then, that'll be good for this period. Come back in a year and we'll go to the stage 2.
It's also outside just the like spirit education, like sitting down and going, oh, you're a manager. Like I built that thing for that seminar I did where I have 12 audiobooks. And this is something I'm going to fold into my management training going forward. Like here's 12 audiobooks for the year.
I love it.
And so I'm going to buy the audiobook for you, or I'll buy it hard copy if you're a tangible person. I like to listen to things. It's just the way I absorb stuff. At the end of the month, as a management team, we'll all sit down and we'll talk about the book.
Yeah, which is... Yeah.
And then we'll do the next month.
Yeah.
And so like you have a full month to listen to Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. Let's talk about the end of the month. What did you learn from that? What can we adapt? What can we do better here? And then goes back to the whole conversation we had. Systems is like, it's crazy that you talk to like, okay, have you got a system for the hostess sitting someone?
Yeah.
Well, I don't need to do that. I can just do that verbally. I'm like, but you've got accountability if the hostess knows that these are all the steps to the person sitting at the table. What's your server accountability? What's your sequence of service? And it came out of my Moxie's days where it was like, it's super corporate. I get it. And you can apply it super soft in your soft skills. But there's accountability. It's like, oh, why didn't you drop off XYZ to that table? I didn't know. It's only black and white. You can't.
Well, it makes the management so much easier, so a lot of managers have, may not like confrontation or have a different style. But it's really simple if you have a document that you can refer to and that you've shown them and it's been a part of their training. And you can even do follow-up training like once every 6 months or something and saying, hey, let's review the procedures. And just see, one thing is to make sure that people know it. The other thing is to see if it's relevant. Yeah. Because like you say, if there's new ideas that are coming in, you want to be adaptable to that. And you want to have a system that is fluid enough that you can incorporate that. and absorb new information, have a venue, an opportunity for your staff who maybe have learned something somewhere else that you've paid for a course. Well, there's no sense just having them have the knowledge if they can bring something back from it. It's really going to help your business sort of evolve. And it's not necessarily like an immediate payoff tomorrow, but it's ingrained in your culture.
It's just a big ecosystem, a big spider. I always call it a big spider web.
Yeah.
And like it's one of those things is like if you're a fluid manager and a fluid leader, it sort of pushes your staff to be more fluid because how many times have you had a bartender go, well, this is the way we made it at my last place. Yeah. Or chef does the same thing. Cook does the same thing. I'm like, I get it. I'm happy to have this discussion off service. And like, I always call it the 3Ds, democratic drink design.
Yeah.
Like if you want to do that old fashioned that way, awesome. But we're going to do it blind, put it up in front of the team.
Yeah.
And they vote on it.
Taste it.
Yeah. My way right now, like I said, my way right now is the way I like it. But if the whole team votes that your way's better, whether it's a different bourbon, different syrup, different bitters, then that's the way it is. But if you lose, you do the house spec.
Yeah.
And I never see your way again.
Yeah.
Period. And they're like, okay, well that's cool. So if you build fluidity as a leader, I think it builds fluidity for your team as well because they know that they can come up with new ideas and bring new ideas to you.
Yeah, and then they're going to be received.
And it's going to be received, and like you may. I'm always notorious. I am notorious, and I try to get better, like shutting down ideas too quickly.
Yeah.
Because
you already know the answer.
Or you're in the middle of something. It's the middle of service. And like, oh, we should do. I don't right now. No.
Yeah.
Like, come to me. Come in 15 minutes early. Let's sit down. Let's have a chat.
Yeah.
Text me so I carve out the time. We can have a proper chat. And so I'm always trying to be as fluid as possible. Sometimes it's just the nature of the beast that stress is like, no, just dismiss it.
Yeah.
But I try and always come back and go, hey, can we have a chat about that idea you pitched? Because I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, and at least let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Because if you're confused or if you resist, because it builds all this friction in the service component, and you don't want friction in the service component. No. So if they're not agreeing with the way a thing, whatever is being served or prepared or made, then they're not going to buy into what you're doing, and the customer will sense it, and coworkers will sense it, and then it's worse is they'll actually try to change it.
Yeah,
which is the worst possible thing because if you lose sight, say you go on holidays for a couple weeks, come back, and all of a sudden all the systems are different, you may not even realize what's happening until you're like, well, wait a minute. By then it's 6 months later, and you realize that we've lost $1,500. In inefficiencies or waste or whatever, and how did it go from here to here?
Yeah,
and the opposite can happen too sometimes. Like I know recently, when we were coming out of COVID, our Gateway location was just jammed, and we were like, man, we need storage. We had a storage locker, we had all this stuff, and our business is still the same as far as volume and whatnot, and we've had a few leaders change in the store. And we just now evolved, like we just got rid of a big double door fridge, and we've got no storage locker. Like everything is just like tight, and I'm just like, what the hell? And I'm the same guy, right, at the top, and I'm walking through, and I'm like thinking, oh yeah, you guys are doing, oh yeah, we're tight or whatever, But you get these different people with different ideas, and they're like, we don't need this, and I'm like, awesome, let's change it.
Yeah,
no problem, and it's refreshing. But also, it goes to show you that when you're looking at a certain, you don't have to be satisfied with the status quo.
No.
But sometimes you're not going to be able to figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
So you want to really make sure you've got an environment where there's feedback loop.
Yep.
Right? Where you're actually going to be able to get some information, or like, hey, I personally don't care. As long as the product comes out well, like, I don't care how they do it. The team's responsible for it. They have to do the work. And I'm just going to mess it up. Like for me, I'm the business guy, right? You, the other hand, is like you've been on tools, you've done it, right? So you're like, no, this isn't going to work, right? I rely on people like you, But I'm in there, I'm like, wow, this is crowded, and now I'm in there going, wow, this is tight. Like, what the hell were we thinking?
Yeah,
But glad and happy that we were able to navigate through that and end up there. Which means you probably have a good culture.
Yeah.
If you end up in the spot and you don't know how you got there.
Yeah, the journey's shortened, but the destination's the same.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, which is super interesting.
Yeah, like I have a zero drama policy for work as well. Just it saves my stomach ulcers, that sort of thing. So like if I see drama happening, 2 staff in the walk-in cooler, sort your stuff out right now. Let's get back to work.
Yeah, no drama.
Yeah. like shift before, shift after, like let's have a chat, what's going on. And usually it's like what's going on with you personally before anything with work.
It always is the
There's
case.
always something outside of work.
Yeah.
Why are you venting at work? Well, like my landlord just changed up the rent and okay, cool. Like, are you going to be fine? Can I help you anyway?
Yeah.
Do you need to talk to HR, assistants? There's plenty of things out there. Okay, well, cool. Like, okay, they fixed everything. Let's settle down at work with the passive aggressiveness against staff members.
Well, and that brings a good topic as we're wrapping up our show. Mind the bar.
Yep.
So, are you still involved with Mind the Bar?
No, I left a couple of my because I was Mind the Bar and Bartenders Benevolent Fund in Toronto during the pandemic. Coming out of the pandemic, life just got busy.
Yeah.
And
Capacity.
Just my bandwidth. And I was like, okay, well, coming out of the pandemic, like before the pandemic, I would be completely okay with completely like not spending any time with my family.
Yeah, exactly.
And my wife and my daughter were very understanding on that. Like they knew that, but coming out of the pandemic, I was like, well, this family life thing is kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm enjoying myself.
Like, I'm enjoying myself, having like family time. And so that sort of took precedent, and I had to look after myself. And like, I couldn't be part of a mental health organization when I wasn't looking after my personal mental health.
Yeah.
And so every now and then I do things here and there for them, but like it's not as consistent as it was before. But
it's a good organization.
It's a fantastic organization.
I'm glad that there is an organization like that out there. I think especially in our industry, and every single person I know that's been in it forever has suffered from mental health issues. And I mean, I think you can say that for every industry, but in particularly this, because it's so customer facing and you're absorbing all of their mental health issues as well, the customers, whether in a good mood, bad mood or not. And, then dealing with your coworkers too. Yeah. And it's, when you're obviously in a highly inflated environment economically, the economic pressures are there. Customers are feeling it, staff's feeling it, the owners are feeling it, and everybody getting mental health support. So that's the one thing that I know for us, we unconditionally support mental health. Yeah. And it's like if somebody's having unique, and we have benefit program, but if their benefits expire and they need more support, we pay for it. Yeah. Because it's blanket. Yeah. Like it doesn't matter. Like I don't ask questions. I'm just like, okay, well, this is the cost of doing business for us because having our staff be mentally aware, and I do it for myself. Yeah. So if I can help and support someone else, and it's a cost of business. If you look at, it might cost a fraction of 1% of our revenue. Yep. Right. But it's probably,
responsible for like 60% of your
revenue. Exactly. Like having, people with their head on straight. Yeah. And, like that investment. And I read this book, 10 Best Things First. And it's basically about where money should be spent to help the world in all the crises and all the different, like whether it be hunger or school lunches or whatever. And when you look at the numbers and the return on the investment, and you spoke about that at the beginning of the show with investing training, and what the ROI on that is, like if you really can't afford not to be doing some of these things. And if you do it also builds, one of the things that, we started as a carbon neutral business, and because no other fast food restaurant was there, and it was notoriously, when I grew up, garbage everywhere. Yeah. And people hated it. The cities hated it. So I was like, let's do carbon neutral. But that start was the seed of the idea, which is a good idea. But then we started getting into the community support and the foundation. And then all of a sudden, the organization takes on a different role by making that one decision. Yeah. So if you make a decision to support mental health, or your training or different things, then all of a sudden that's going to open the door to do a bunch of other things that are going to make your business somewhere where someone wants to work, which is one of the more important things, like especially in a competitive hiring. But then getting the ROI and investment and understanding that doing this is going to pay. And it's hard. It's just like when you buy a billboard, you have no idea what the return on that is. Yeah. But when I pay for someone's mental health support, and I know that they need it and they're appreciative of it, and I get 2 or 3 years more out of it. Plus, when they're showing up to work, they're actually productive
and happy,
and feel like the
being
team is supported. And the team knows that they also have that same ability too, even if they don't want to access it or need it. Just makes everybody more comfortable. right?
I just try and be as open as possible. Like people, I've had in the earlier days of talking about, like 10 years ago, people were like, yeah, you shouldn't talk about that. You're a leader. You shouldn't be talking about your mental health. Now it's like in every bar show and stuff, there's a mental health advocacy group or a seminar and stuff. I just try and be as open as possible. Like, I'm happy to say that I medicate. I'm happy to say that I microdose every couple of days. I am happy to say that I go to a therapist. Yeah. You know, like I was having a stressful year last year. I told my team, like, listen, I'm going to a therapist. Hopefully I'm going to resolve a lot of these issues. Yeah. And we'll fix things together. But I'm openly telling you that it might be a little rough some days. Yeah. And so I think if you're open, again, it goes back to leadership. If you're open about everything you're going through, it makes everything else easier.
Well, it's the transparency piece, you know, like if you don't share your vision with your team, they're not going to know where you're headed. Yeah. And they're not going to understand the steps that you're going to be implementing if they don't see the bigger picture. And if your mental health is not in the right spot, then you're going to be presenting a way they're not going to understand. Mm-hmm. And letting them understand will also not only allow them to be a better support for you and not add to it, but they'll actually be maybe inspired when they're having mental health to be open about it with their teammates, coworkers,
or with their partners,
and with their partners, especially with their partners, because that if your home life is disruptive and you don't even, and sometimes it's you don't know you're going through it, but if you as a leader say, hey, I'm going through this right now, and don't worry about me, I've got this, I'm going for counseling, they may go, oh, I'm grappling with this thing. Yeah. And then you start the dialogue. So often when I've talked about the mental health, and we've had specific staff meetings about mental health, especially around COVID, because that was obviously a huge thing. But you know, you start that conversation, and all of a sudden they're coming to you and they say, "Hey, I heard you talking about a counselor. Can you make a recommendation?" And I'm like, not only am I going to recommendation, I'm actually going to pay for it if you need it over and above our benefits that you get. And they're like, oh my God, great. Because then now they're incentivized to go, and then there's no financial pressure. No. And, you know, the biggest thing about all of it is the stigma around it. And especially with men, I would think.
100%.
And, you know, I think, you know, I'll tell everybody about all my problems. Yep. And they may be like, okay, enough. Like, you need a new counselor, man. It's not working. Right? My wife says that all the time.
Change your medication.
Yeah, you're going to see your friend? I'm like, no, she's my psychologist, man. I've been going to her for like 25 years. So like, has it improved? I'm like, I think so. I'd be way worse if I wasn't going. But just that comfort level of just discussing it, and you know, and because with the last time you were on, we were talking about that you forgot about being on, but we were talking about mental health because it was during COVID, at the start of COVID, and I just think it's such a important topic. And I think in this day and age, and you know, probably a byproduct of COVID, I think mental health was at the forefront of it. So
I think that's the one thing that came out of pandemic that was great. Yeah, is those conversations. Yeah, I think pre-pandemic we still weren't. There was that stigma. Post-pandemic is a little bit more open now. Yeah, and a little bit more transparent, because I think those top tier leaders were feeling that pressure. Yeah, and then it sort of trickled down from there.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, you think about that whole time and conversations you'd have with people and just the stress of it all. And I think, you know, part of like my mental health, if I'm honest right now, isn't like top notch. And, you know, a lot of it is, you know, you think the worst of it is over. It's not. You went through it and it's like going to war kind of, you know, fatigue. And then now you're like, okay, well, it should be better, right? But then there's these other things that are happening around the world, but you're coming from a place of fatigue. So it's different if you're approaching these new issues or new problems fresh. Yeah, but you're not. You're coming out of
exhausted.
Like exhausted. You're like, okay, like if there's any other major catastrophe, right? Like okay, I'm done. I don't know, maybe just walk off into the ocean and see how far I can get. I don't know. Like I would just give up. You know, like frankly, but you know, I don't necessarily want to quit, but I can't.
There's days.
There's days where it's just almost too much.
Yeah, I have a theory and a hypothesis right now. Like, and you said men in the industry, like when you get into your 40s and older, like I'm mid 40s now, is like in your 20s you were told to like sacrifice a bunch if you took your job seriously.
Yeah.
Sacrifice a bunch, learn the knowledge. 30s, you go into management. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
well, late 30s, you get into ownership or like higher up management. And then in your 40s, you're like, where's my rewards?
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't this supposed to get easier? And I find now it's even tougher because you're trying to be better for the young people that are coming into the industry. So now you're like, okay, well, I don't want you working as hard as I did coming through the industry. But then you end up working just as hard to make sure that their work-life balance is better than you had when you were in your 20s.
That's such a good point.
Like, oh, you want to go away for 3 months?
I would like to do that.
Knock yourself out.
Yeah.
I'll hold the fort down.
Yeah, I've got it.
I've got it. And so I feel like that I've talked to a lot of operators in that sort of like the 40s to 50s range, and like that's the thing is like, where's my reward now? When do I get to take a break?
Yeah,
like when do I get to chill? Why do I have to keep hitting up people and working as hard as I do to like keep hustling? But yeah, I find that's a big thing that's happening in the industry right now.
Yeah, it's a lot of people are realizing,
the industry's hard and it's always going to be hard.
It's always hard.
It's always going to be hard.
Even though we've always known it, but at some point it's just the fatigue level gets you, which is there. So what, as we wrap up, talk about what services you provide. I know that you're doing, I saw you posted about
Churchill.
Yeah.
Yep.
Churchill. Like, talk a little bit about that as we wrap up.
I got back into consulting. I came back from Vancouver after my little 6-month stint there and picked up Churchill. Joe is a good friend of mine, and he's been helping me out with another project, and so he's like thrown me a bone. So we did I did a brand refresh there and a sort of refocus on what it is.
Yeah.
Redesign all the menus, and that like is actual physical graphic design. So I do that as well.
Oh, cool.
Now on the side.
Yeah, awesome.
So brand redesign, graphic design, and then new cocktail program, leaning much more into like tap cocktails and stuff like that. So that's sort of the direction that we're going to be going in as a draft house.
Yeah.
Doing a little Garrick's Head graphic design as well for their menus.
Yeah.
Doing Cafe Fantastico because they've got 3 locations now.
Oh,
so
wow.
sort of like they've got Trade Fantastico, they've got King Street, and they've got Dockside. So 3 very unique locations. So I'm sort of trying to not simplify and refocus the group.
Yeah.
Instead of having 3 separate locations and with the same theme.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're looking at, I'm doing all that stuff as well. I'm doing a project up in Terrace of all things.
Oh,
so,
I grew up in Terrace.
Yeah, so a friend of mine, he bought like one of the only pubs in Terrace, like a big ass pub.
What's like the back Eddie?
I think so. Yeah. It's like 200-seat pub and then upstairs and stuff. So he wants to put a little cocktail bar upstairs. So I'm working on a little project of that as well. Like between like Soole Hospitality, like my consulting side of things outside the podcast and everything else is like, if you bring me an idea on a napkin, I can take the idea on a napkin all the way through to like operations. So like that's HR. That's like everybody getting a job description, which a lot of resumes don't have. Like job description, onboarding, training. The cocktail side of things is the easiest part for me. Yeah. Like you want me to create a cocktail
So it's a full service.
It's a full service.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So like it's about building that culture and building those systems in place from the get-go. So is all your costings done? Your break-even calculator, like how much money do you need to make?
Yeah.
Like I'm doing a video later on today. It's like everybody talks about labor and food costs and drink costs, like how to control. You can control all that. Like no one talks about rent.
Yeah, exactly.
Is your rent 6 to 10? Well, I like 6 to 8, but like, is your rent 6 to 8%?
6 to 8. People talk 10. I'm like, dude, you're.
If you're in a high volume area, like on
maybe,
it's like 6 to 8% of your top line revenue. Now, if that top line revenue is really high, can you do that with how many covers you got and how many seats you have and how much your per spend is going to be? And so, like, everybody talks about, they're already knees deep in the mud, and you're talking about like labor costs. I'm like, you're knees deep in the mud because you didn't look at your rent when you signed the lease.
Exactly. So, and the expected revenue was off, and your margins are high enough, your contribution is in there.
And what happens?
So you got no cash. Oh, surprise!
Yeah. So like I'm sort of trying to shed the whole cocktail guy pigeonhole.
Yeah.
By like giving away free spreadsheets. So I've got like an online platform that I spent 11 months building a actual cognac certification.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So 75-page textbook. You can do it all online. You do the test online, the whole shebang. That took me a long time to build. So I've got Proof and Practice, Bar Academy, which is my online platform. Yeah. It's got a whole bunch of free resources there too. So if you want to do a batch.
And where like Proof and Practice?
Yep.
Like .com?
.com.
Oh, proofandpractice.com.
Yep.
Shawn Soole Hospitality.
Soole Hospitality.
Soole
Concepts.
Hospitality.
Yeah, SooleHospitality.com. That's like where all my other stuff lives, my podcast and everything else.
Awesome.
So yeah, and then I'm doing some other cognac stuff that sort of builds that a little bit more too, because I do think that cognac's an underrated spirit.
Oh my god!
And
yeah, totally.
completely like it's a one that people don't really get and understand.
Yeah,
and
I'm that guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I enjoy it,
Yeah.
but it's under my knowledge base on it is almost zero.
yeah. So
Right.
my thing is always my wife gets not cranky at me. She's like, hey, just so you know, you're putting a lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah.
What if all the irons come out? Like,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
if they all like transpire and like happen? And I'm like, figure that out when that happens.
Yeah.
Like, I'll figure that out when that
Don't
happens.
try to change.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let me
that's
do a
good.
million things. So I've got like 55 tabs open on my computer and I'm bouncing between like menu
Yeah.
design and like
But I mean, that's
podcast stuff
entrepreneurial
and- yeah.
stuff, right? I'm the same way. We're a lot of the same person.
Yeah.
which is awesome.
and now I just need to make money from it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Trying to figure out how to make money. Yeah, that's the never-ending battle.
Because the hospitality industry, again, you want to help the hospitality industry. So you're like, they're a small business.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
gonna
help them.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
do
gonna
this.
I'm gonna do it for free, or I'll do it for a small price. Or
yeah.
like, and then I see other guys on like LinkedIn and charging a fortune. I'm like, man, how do you do that?
Yeah,
How do you sleep at night charging
Yeah.
someone $10,000 to do that?
Yeah, especially when you know I can't. My integrity is the issue.
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like I can't. I know how much. Like I'm gonna just share the knowledge I
Yeah.
have. That's super easy. Well, don't do that. Just do this.
And that's why I give away everything.
Yeah,
for
I
free.
know. And then
I have
we're
a
like-
costing sheets for free, a break-even calculator for operators for free, batching calculator for free, like Gin 101 for free.
Yeah.
You want to learn about Gin, you just want to print something out and teach a team, like there you go, it's for free.
Well, the Bread and Butter Collective, that's kind of what we
Yeah.
were designed to do, is just be a resource to help people, right? But at some point, you need to make a bit of money.
A little bit of
Just
money.
just wet
Just
your
a
beak.
smidge. Yeah.
Just wet your beak.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks, Shawn.
No,
thank you
very
for,
much
for
Cheers.
being on.
Cheers. I appreciate you. Thank you.
You know, we always end it with like, remember to be real kind if you be real nice. So we'll both be real kind, real nice, and check out Shawn Soole Hospitality.com, and I look forward to being on your podcast.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
Full
you.
Shift Podcast.
Yeah.
Look it up. Cheers.
All right, post shifters, that's it for now. Keep your standards high, your spirits neat, and your team tighter than your pork costs. Catch you next week on the Post Shift Podcast.